Step number 9 in the 15-step playbook for pain relief. Hi and welcome everybody. It's Jason Barlow, RMT, and I'm here today as your therapist and as your coach to help you transform any stress, tension, and pain into health, happiness, and vitality instead. Step number 9. So we're moving along nicely in this 15-step playbook for pain relief that I put together a year ago. This has been a dream of mine for over a decade of wanting to write a book, and time came knocking last year. With the COVID shutdown, it gave me a chance to really plunge into my mind and what I wanted to put down on paper and help articulate and share with the world. And here it is. This is the physical form of it. You can still, for the time being, get a free digital copy available at jasonbarlowrmt.com. Just go to my website. You'll be presented with a screen. Just follow that screen. Leave me your email. I'll send you a digital copy. If you want to get this physical copy, you just have to go to Amazon and put in the 15-step playbook for pain relief. Amazon, brilliant technology that they have. They just print on demand. So until somebody orders a copy of the book, there's another 1,000 of these sitting somewhere collecting dust. This is a book that is designed to be a playbook that you can wrap it up, throw it away, throw it down. Well, not throw it away, throw it down, throw it in your bag, toss it around, scribble in it. Like, I want you to use it. And I'd love to see some pictures of those of you that have got the physical book and the shape that it's in. I want to know that it's being used. I want to hear what it is that you've been getting by way of benefit from this book, if you have. The only reason you wouldn't is if you still got it laying on your shelf and you've not actually picked it up and actually dived in and started to read it and to follow through on the instructions that are in it. This is like a condensation of over 20 years being in this industry of helping people relieve their stress, their tension, and pain. It'd be like going to your doctor and asking for the best medication for your headache, and he presents you with the newest medication, the cutting edge technology, and he prescribes it for you. You go to the chemist, they give you the drugs, and you go home and you just sit it on the shelf. And every day you pick it up and you read it, but you never actually take it. Pick it up and read it, but never actually take it. You're struggling with headaches, and it's not going away. You have the medication that will actually help you. It's the same with something like this. This is a piece of medicine. All you have to do is consume it. Consume it by way of reading, contemplating, studying the details, following the instructions that are inside, and actually getting a taste of it for yourself. I've got a taste of it for myself. Many of my patients have had a taste of it for themselves. But until you are ready to want to take it on and actually swallow that medication, it's only going to do so much for you, right? Great information. You'll become a little bit more, intelligent by way of reading this book, but you're not actually going to get the results until you follow through with what the recommendations are. Now, remember, there's 4 controls that you can learn how to control. It's the only things that you can control in your life. And that is your mindset. Number 1, absolutely critical. Your mindset, that your attitude towards what's going on in your life. Your stress, your tension, and pain, what is your attitude toward that? Number 2 is how you move and how you stretch. And that's where we are with step number 9, by the way. It's the last of the stretches. And then we get into the foods. My top 3 recommendations for your foods. Again, you are in control of what you're choosing to purchase and what you're choosing to ingest. Nobody's force feeding you. And if they are, ask them to feed you the right type of stuff that you want to be fed. Bottom line. And then lastly, we get into looking at rest and rejuvenation, or rest and recovery. It's one of the most probably least talked about subjects that is perhaps one of the most critical. I mean, it is critical. For me, mindset is number 1. Rest and recovery is probably very close second. And it's powerful if you follow my recommendations. Anyway, let's dive into step number 9. So step number 9, again, if you get the digital copy or the physical copy, you're going to be presented with an illustration of what the stretch is, how to do it. At the bottom of the page as well, I give you a link to my website, which you can't access just directly going on my website. You have to have the book to be able to do this, because it's a very specific website URL or address. Anyway, you go to that URL and I'll show you how to do it, like a physical video that will show you how to do this stretch. So why is this an important stretch? I've classed it as my 3rd most important stretch. And so if you did no other stretches but these top 3, I guarantee you're going to get some very powerful results. Because commonly, as I am right now, we're spending a lot of our day in a seated position. And this is what we're teaching our kids. Hey, kids, go to school. It's great for you. And it is. on many levels. But how do they spend most of their day in the classroom? Eating their lunch, getting to school, coming home from school. What do they do when they get home from school? We're usually all fostering what I call a faulty posture with the knees up toward the hip or toward the chest in this sitting position. What we're actually educating these muscles at the front of the hip to do is get shorter, get tighter. And that's just happening all the time that you sat down. So what we've got to do is break that cycle and pay off, if you've been reading my book, pay off this postural debt. Now, by paying off this postural debt, what it's going to do is carve down the demand that is putting upon your muscular and nervous systems. And by virtue of that, your skeletal system, because these muscles especially that I'm talking about today with this stretch, or step number 9 or stretch number 3, are the hip flexors. That includes a little bit your quads, more your hip flexors, which are on the front of the hip, and they attach in and around the femur, the long bone of the leg, the pelvis, and then into the spine. There's one muscle in particular called the psoas. And the psoas travels from the femur directly into the front of the lumbar spine. So it's actually very influential upon the positioning of your spine. The condition, the health, the quality of your spine being able to move and support and stabilize you is dependent upon the health of these muscles having such flexibility. And remember that we're spending hours usually every day building up tension to these muscles, unless we're spending hours every day to counter the amount of tension we're building up in there. It's just going to keep building up. And that's what we call, or I class as postural debt. So to pay down that postural debt, this is step number 9 of the 15 steps and stretch number 3 of the 3 stretches that I'm recommending for you to help reduce that buildup of tension to these muscles that sit on the front of the hip. Because I guarantee you, if you were to start to come and see me and I start working and massaging all these anterior hip muscles, the front of the hip muscles, I'd probably have you very quickly sprinting in minimal time. Why? Because it's usually so painful. So there's got a lot of trigger points and a lot of tension built up. And very commonly and very interestingly, it doesn't usually present a great deal of pain and inflammation. But you will feel that if I was to start massaging them. So surreptitiously, these muscles, so even if you're like, well, I don't need to do this stretch, I don't have any pain there. I guarantee if you had somebody, a skilled therapist, come and do a little bit of work on that area, you would probably leap off the table and want to run away, because it surreptitiously, right, discreetly in the background is building up tension unbeknownst to you. So only by coming in on a regular basis to a skilled therapist would they or you know that that is actually building up. But this is coming from experience, nearly 20 years doing what I'm doing. Most all of us are in that seated position. Most all of us have shorter, tighter hip flexors in contrast to the opposing muscles. So that's why this stretch is absolutely important. If you're going to just do 3 stretches, we've got 3 of them put together now for you. We've got the scalenes, we've got the pecs and the chest muscles here. Now we've got the hip flexors. Are there other muscles to stretch? 100% there are. There always will be. But I'm trying to condense it into as minimal time as you can to get maximum results. And that is the essence, my friends, of this very book, my book, the 15-step playbook for pain relief. So go get yourself a free digital copy while you still can. Probably in the next 2 weeks, it's going to be pulled off. It's just going to be a free chapter. So if you want to get the full content right now for free, go to my website, jasonbarlowrmt.com. You've got 2 more weeks to do that, and then it's going to be pulled. It will be back on there, but it's just going to be a minimal cost. But it's also going to come with a program which is going to allow me to dive in deeper with the content with you as you're progressing through the book. Thank you for joining me. I hope you found that a benefit. Please share this with others. Please help me spread this message. Do what you can. Give me some feedback. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. Give me a share. Give me a review. Anything like that. Just to know that you're out there. That would be wonderful. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me. And remember, your muscle health is my #1 priority. That's why